2015 Kia Forte, but this also works for your Elantras, your Souls from around the years 2011 to about 2016. It's on your 1.8 liter inline 4-cylinder engine. This is not hard at all to do. Spark plugs on this vehicle. So if you took your car to the dealership or another auto place and they said that there's going to be a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of money, they're lying to you. First thing you need to do is take off this top cover. Just pops up, just grab it. It might be stuck on there a little bit, but just pop it up and off. Right there I'm showing you where the spark plugs are. Well, actually that's a coil, ignition coil. There's one on top of each spark plug. So there's bolts that hold the ignition coil in place. They're 10 millimeter. So there's 4 bolts for the 4 ignition coils. You got to pop those up and out to gain access to the spark plugs. Once you get those bolts out, go ahead and take your ignition coil, give it a little twist, a little shout, just move it around a little bit, break the seal on the spark plug if it's been in there a while. You do not have to disconnect the connector to the ignition coil. Just pop it up and out. That's what I'm doing right there. Just lay them out to the side. It's kind of hard to mess them up when you reinstall it, so just put it up and out of the way. So right here I'm just checking for oil on the end of the boot, or on the boot of the ignition coil. There was none, so it's good to go. If you do see oil there, it means that your spark plug tube seals are leaking. Right there I'm showing you the 5/8 spark plug socket that you need to get the spark plugs out. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. If you have a choice, use a magnetic spark plug socket. Just makes life a whole lot easier. So put it onto a 6-inch 3/8 extension there. I'm going to bring in my 3/8 ratchet, just loosen them up. Then I'm going to use my Chemo 3/8 electric ratchet that I have. I love that thing. If you guys have a chance, pick one up. If you're doing a lot of this work, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. So right here I'm just pulling the spark plugs out. You can see they are pretty dirty. This is a gas direct injection engine, so those spark plugs seem to get pretty dirty fairly quickly. So I'm going to use a ruthenium spark plug from NGK. Great little spark plug. Had pretty good success to them. I'll put a link down in the description below where you guys can pick them up on Amazon. So I'll get some anti-seize. I'm going to put a little dab of anti-seize on the threads of the spark plugs. I know guys are going to put down hate comments down there. You're not supposed to put anti-seize on spark plugs. Well, that's what I do. And then I get some dielectric grease. I'm going to put those. I'm going to put the dielectric grease on into the ignition coil where the boot is. That sits onto the spark plug, so it doesn't get stuck there. For the next guy that actually does this job, the spark plugs or the ignition coils sometimes have a tendency to get stuck to the spark plugs, so this helps prevent it. If you put some dielectric down there, just a little dab, not a lot, just a little dab. You can also put the dielectric right onto the spark plug, onto the porcelain of the spark plug if you want. So I'll do this to all 4 ignition coils. I also have some other videos for this vehicle, some brakes I think I did on this, so I'll put a link down in the description below to other videos that I did for this vehicle. One thing cool about NGK is that the way the spark plug is pictured on the box is how they put it into the box. So the top is up, or the top is top, I should say. So right here I'm just taking the anti-seize. It's a nickel-based anti-seize that I use, and just putting a light coating on the threads of the spark plugs. So I'll do that to all 4 spark plugs. Right there I have a 3/8 hose. I put the porcelain part of the spark plug into the hose, and I'll just lead it down there and start the spark plug by hand. I hate it when guys drop them down there. They just free fall the spark plug down the spark plug tube, because it might not hit directly in the center. If it hits on the side, then you have the risk of changing the gap, the spark plug gap on there. So that's why I go ahead and I use that hose. I do this whether I'm working on a Honda, Acura, a Kia, or a Chevy. That's how I always put in spark plugs, just so I don't damage the gap or the spark plug at all. So here I'm just snugging them up. I'll put there's a foot-pound, the torque foot-pound spec for this. I'll put it up right now. Okay, after that's done, I just go ahead. I drop the ignition coils back down into place. Put the 4 10mm bolts back into place. Like I said, this is an easy job. It's not hard at all. And I'll put a link down in the description below to that Chemo 3/8 ratchet. I use it all the time. But Yeah, like I said, if they want to charge you, 200, 300 bucks to do this, tell them to go pound sand, because it's not hard. Anybody can do this. My 4-year-old granddaughter could do this. After you do all this work, go ahead, fire up the engine. Make sure that you don't have any misfires, or check engine light. You want the engine to run nice and smooth. If you find that you do have a misfire after this, a couple things can happen, or a couple things could have happened. If you had disconnected the wiring harness from the ignition coil, make sure that those connectors are in there, that they clicked into place, that it's secure. Also, another thing that I've seen happen, it doesn't happen a lot, but I've seen it twice in my career as a mechanic, is that the porcelain on the spark plug is actually cracked, and that's what's causing a misfire. So if you fire it up and you have a misfire, double check those things if the misfire wasn't there before. Also, your ignition coil could have gone bad, especially if you drop them. Never drop an ignition coil, because that's the fastest way to ruin it.